pause the record.
The meeting is now in session.
Sean, good to see you up there.
Nice to
Hi,
see you
Fawn.
all. It took me a while to figure out how to join as a guest. I've never done it before.
Okay, let us begin. Old business, 2123 High Street.
We're gonna quickly.
Would you
You wanna
like
quickly-
to do Miss Carnival's
Okay,
workshop first?
you can do that.
We will
I
need a
mean,
motion
is there-
from the board
Huh?
to add an agenda, item to the agenda.
I'll make a motion to add an item to the agenda.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll pick this up at the very end. We need to do it now.
I don't think it's going to be very long.
Okay.
I think maybe we're just giving some guidance.
Just
Is it-
some guidance. I think.
Yeah. It's.
Okay.
Workshop, is
Well,
that right?
yes,
Yeah.
we're in a workshop right now, so please come up to the table.
I'm Kathy Carnevale, for those of you who don't know me, and we're representing, this is Wally Becker, we're representing the First Presbyterian Church of Phillipstown on 10th Avenue. And we've been trying to get the church ready so the nursery school can be licensed, and the Office of Children and Family Services of the state requires certain things. So we didn't have the money for a fire alarm system, but we got a grant for a fire alarm system, and
It's installed.
which is installed, and it will, the money will maybe cover windows that exist in our social hall. There are 11 windows, and they're just the lower ones.
Just the lower from here
Just
down.
lower, because it's what children can read, and we have to have temperature glass. We don't.
So am I correct that you're just replacing the glass?
No,
No, we're
gonna
do the frames.
yeah, it has, because we cannot do that. We've had 2 people in to look at the windows, so the whole panels have to be
Really?
replaced. Yep.
That seems unusual.
Well, apparently there's storm window plus a double glaze. And they are awning windows that have that thing that goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
Push it out to open, pull it back in, like, and lock it.
So, the window is gonna look the same from the outside and pretty much the same from the inside. And so I asked Kathleen Foley, because I just happened to see her, whether we needed an HDRB application. She said, we definitely need a building permit, but she said, it depends on a number of things. And so she said, ask for a workshop, and so.
Okay, I'm just trying to determine the extent of the change that would occur when you're replacing the glass.
Yeah.
And you said that the panel has to be replaced. Is that
The-
correct?
Yeah.
Window in the frame.
This,
Window in the frame,
Yeah,
right, the lower
from all
one.
of
Because
this.
The frame
Yes.
also holds up the upper windows, so.
No, they're separate, they're
I
separate.
think they would probably be removing this and then
Understood.
insetting a new window with it.
All right, well,
Right.
all right, but that's the frame, that's the window frame.
Yeah.
But you're not replacing any of the,
No, just
No.
down in here, these windows here,
okay,
6
Yeah.
here.
all right.
There's 5 of them.
And what is the what are the new windows, are they gonna look like?
They're gonna look just like this, we're gonna maintain the same color. It's a push out, gonna be basically the same, and the only difference is the glass.
tempered glass as opposed to,
Yeah, we have to have that to meet the state requirements.
all right. Do we, to me, this is really repair. I mean, it's a replacement in kind. Do you see any reason why we need to review this?
This is I mean, I don't know how visible this is from the street. Which direction is this
Well,
facing?
that is on this side, that's on the side of the building, that is not visible.
This is not visible.
That's not visible, the 6 windows in the front.
In the front.
Are
Are
visible.
visible, yeah,
Oh, here.
Yeah,
on the street.
those are visible, or half visible.
Right.
because of
Okay.
the-
Are the new window frames also going to be wood?
They're either going to be wood or vinyl. We've got a couple of bids on them, but they will be the same color.
Yeah, this
Well-
bid is wood, this bid right now is wood, but but we're also asking for another bid from the same people.
See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If the replacement frames, window frames.
Yes.
Are wood and it just has the new glass, then I don't see any reason why we need any sort of review on our part. If you go to vinyl, which we don't especially like, that would, you're making a change and we'd have to review that.
And the frame thickness would be the same.
Yes,
Yes, it would, right,
yeah,
everything.
yeah, our biggest concern was that it be the same color and look exactly like it does now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the vinyl, the only reason we asked about the vinyl was that it was paintable. So I said, if it's paintable and it's lower cost, let's see what the bid is.
Well,
Yeah.
does anybody have any disagreement with what I'm saying? That if the wood is a window and all they're doing is replacing the glass with tempered glass, I see that as a simple repair. I don't see any reason why we need to vote on it. If it's anything other than wood, then we do need to review it.
Okay.
Well, I'm asking the other board members if they have any disagreement. Sean, any objection to that?
No, I mean, from what I'm hearing, that sounds like a regular process.
Yeah, as long as the frames are the same dimensions and you're not reducing the glass size.
Nope.
I mean, I don't know how we have anything on the books if we don't have an application showing that, but.
Well, it's if it's a repair, then they're really, the ordinance says that, once we have made a determination that it is a repair, then really doesn't need to be reviewed.
Well, it would be a repair if the glass was being changed, but if the wood frame is being changed, that doesn't really count as a repair, does it?
Well,
I
except
would
that,
agree with that because it's a replacement, yeah.
because what?
Because it's a different window that's being put in place of the existing window.
But if it's a wood window that matches that, then what's the difference?
It's a
Yeah.
replacement in kind, which is something else
Yeah.
that which we treat as a repair, even if it's the same material and the same design, then it's a replacement in kind.
Okay.
The current windows are Pella. And I think we were posting Anderson, although the guy who came and did the bid said he could do Pella or Anderson.
Okay.
Okay, so,
It'll be the same color, same
Yeah.
size.
All right,
different
I mean, if
colors.
it's a replacement in kind and it's all the same otherwise, then I guess it's, yeah.
all right, so what's the address?
10 Academy Street. 10 Academy Street.
Okay. And so, I'll issue a notice that we reviewed it. And if it is a replacement in kind, we don't have to review it.
Okay.
But if there's any changes to that, then we you'll have to come back next month and, with an application.
And we do need a building permit, I assume.
That, I don't know, I mean,
Sorry.
A
A
building
building
permit?
permit,
You would still have to get a building permit.
okay.
You can take it if you'd like.
This is much better than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
all right.
Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next up, 2123 High Street. I'm on that.
I just. Hi. Thank you guys.
Don, how are you?
oh.
Lucky you.
I was like, wait.
All right. Julie, tell us all about your application.
Okay, so, our client decided to replace the existing railing that's at the bottom to a cable railing and also would like to, replace the previously proposed, railing here with cable. My understanding is,
Isn't cable railing there now?
it's on in Pelizari's, former in Pelizari's residence.
Yeah.
And so there's.
Okay, this is different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Doors down.
the originally, approved design included, basically replicating, pressure treated, spindles that were Home Depot grade. Really nothing of historic significance at all. So rather than going back to, you know, what you can buy basically off the pallet, we're proposing to do, cable.
This is not very, but you had a picture, this is not very visible from.
It's
Correct.
barely
Like,
visible,
like
yeah.
a little corner here and like,
Yeah.
oh, from this, and that's
That's one side, I just walked by this
Oh,
morning, I was
yeah.
curious, one side. The other side is probably equally visible once the dumpster is gone. And then you can see it from the back looking up. And then in the winter you would.
See it more.
Yeah.
the railing disappears.
True, yeah, it's open, right?
Okay, so, is that the extent of the change?
And we have, photos of the previous, project here.
I
Oh,
was looking at 15,
Okay.
I walked 2 doors down and then I saw that this house has a similar railing. And we were then wondering, you did this project and it was approved by the board.
Right,
Yeah.
entirely new house, and these photos are from that house.
It's very, very similar.
And it's funny, that's the door that we want on
I
our house.
saw that, I pieced it all together yesterday.
Confusing, I didn't
Based
know.
on-
No, it was, yeah.
Which is based on our current door.
Current door, which I bought at, Habitat for Our Community.
Oh.
Recently.
Back and forth, back and forth.
I think it's a nice railing.
Well,
I think it's a nice railing and it's 2 doors down, so there's precedent for it. I don't see any issue on my end.
yeah, I mean, you know, we sort of established the precedent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that, but, yeah.
Well, I guess, is the railing continuing down along the stairs?
Yes. And this isn't anything, right? This is just a, something from.
That was
the
some
non-painted
previous.
window. Okay, no, that must have been from a previous, application.
Any questions from the board members? Any comments from the board members?
I mean, is it just for consistency, is it correct that this is something that we previously allowed on a building, provided it's on a rear facade, and that's the precedent that's been set, and in this case would be maintained.
I was not there for that, where you were.
Yes.
In case people all start to fall in love with this and want to,
Yeah.
just want to know what we're signing up for, but I think it looks nicer than the Home Depot spindle. It's just a question of if it's, you know, what the precedent is in context of a historic building.
Sean, you have any questions?
No, I mean, I think, you know, the rear view of High Street is a little tricky because it's so elevated above Church Street, and like the benefit to these cable railing systems is obviously the view out towards the mountain, but it is also sort of the view towards the house from the pedestrians, and I think cleaning it up, I can see that to be a benefit for the people on the right of way. So I think it being in the rear of the building certainly makes it more palatable, and obviously there's precedent elsewhere, so I have no objections to it.
Hopefully not visible.
Okay.
Okay, and the posts are gonna be mahogany or similar. All right, do I have a motion concerning the application?
I've moved to accept the application
As submitted?
as submitted.
Okay. Favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Done. Done.
Awesome. So we say right here?
I think there are others on the agenda.
Okay.
I mean, unless we can.
Okay, this is being handled as I'm gonna issue a notice because we're talking about September of last year, 23. So I'm gonna issue this as a notice to this, a change to this application.
23. Yes, because the certificate of appropriateness was signed in September, which
Yeah.
covered all the previous
Yeah,
changes.
well, it just, you know, because you guys submitted an application.
We're at 26 Main Street.
No, I'm talking about Judy.
Sorry.
You guys submitted an application for this?
For
This
the railing
change?
change?
Yeah.
Yes, there should have been a completely new application. Is that in the file?
No, I think it was an amendment to the previous.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that that hasn't changed.
The previous application did not change. I was
Yeah.
told that it would have to be a whole new application, but it became an amendment. I'm not sure if it was.
Okay, and well, I just want to, you know, see, I don't want them to pay another application fee, because this is a amendment to the previously approved application.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let us move on. Okay, 12 Parrot Street.
Hello.
Okay,
No.
you must be Craig.
Yes.
All right. Why don't you tell us about your application?
Yeah, so based on what we talked about during the last meeting last month, I've updated the plans so that they all the windows except for the little bay windows and the small upper side window have the 2/2 setup, as opposed to what we had previously, which was half of the house being 6/6 and the other half being over 2/2. So it's all, like we discussed, the same now. And rather than just popping in new windows, we're doing the complete replacements. And to keep the authentic vibe of the house, you know, we'll use the trim we already have inside, but again, we're taking out the whole old window and not just adding on to it. And it's the wood clad double hung.
Questions from the board? The continuation of the application of the workshop. Last month it was a workshop, right? Last month we saw this in the workshop.
Yeah.
Craig? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So they're full replacements, they're not inserts. And then I couldn't remember from last month, but are any of these original windows that are getting removed to be consistent across?
The original, those little bay windows are all like original, kind of that leaded glass that is really pretty. And although when you stand next to it, your hair blows in the wind because they don't insulate. But the other windows in the house, some of them are broken and cracked, and some are replaced and some are old, but they don't open. So and I got 2 little children, and we're always a little bit worried about the fire hazards or any sort of, it seems a little dangerous. So that's why we wanted to just replace all of them as opposed to just some of them, like we originally discussed long ago.
I think maybe some of the drawings just didn't get updated because it says on the side views, replacing window, maintain the current original 6/6 layout, but that's not.
I updated it in the, since our last meeting, I sent the updated drawing.
So we're just looking at something.
You're looking at last month.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any issue with the plan of unifying everything like we talked about. And full replacements is better than you know, inserts or sash replacements. So I don't have any questions or issues with this.
I don't think, but I mean, they already had an approval for a full replacement, so this seems better.
Yeah. John, do you have any questions?
No, I'm actually, I think I'm only seeing the old information as well though. But if these are full replacement new construction windows, then that's obviously the best course of action. And I have no qualms with the unifying of the light pattern.
Just I'm looking at the catalog cut of the windows. Can't tell. I mean, there are obviously wood windows, but are they? Is the exterior clad? Right.
Yeah, wood clad, double hung.
Okay, and it was aluminum clad, right?
Yeah.
All right. I have no questions. So, do I have a motion concerning this application? Come on, you know, jump.
Motion to approve the application as submitted.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Done.
Thank you.
Okay, 31 Samuel. Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Hello. Who did we have last time?
So the architect couldn't be with us tonight. That was Michael Berta. He's actually on vacation. He tried to zoom in, but apparently does not have good reception wherever he is. He doesn't have any a good internet connection where he is. So stepping in, but I was kind of briefed as to what your previous meeting was and the um, you know, questions that you rose and what we ended up addressing them with the windows, the siding, and the trim boards. So we did resubmit everything. I assume that you have in front of you. Otherwise, I can share my screen and just want to open it up to any questions anybody might have. And just a little background, if you didn't already know, the house that was there was actually just a two-car garage with an apartment above it, vinyl sided. Unfortunately, they lost the house due to fire, and they're rebuilding it.
I'm sorry, what is your name?
Vincent Leto, Leto.
Oh, thank you.
Westchester Modular Homes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all right, can you tell us the changes that you made from the last application?
Sure. Going through the exterior facade, there was a couple windows that were added on the side elevations per your request. The siding, which was previously vinyl, we had proposed to replace it with vinyl. Was suggested that we don't go with vinyl, and so we ended up talking to the homeowner, and they agreed to go with a fiber cement. So it's going to be James Hardie fiber cement with trim boards per plan. And then it was also the front porch that was changed to what you're seeing now with the front porch versus the gable. It had a shed roof that actually dives into the garage. And also the Anderson windows were changed to a SDL grill versus the grills between the glass that was previously proposed.
Okay. I see that the columns are still fiberglass.
Correct. That's what we're proposing. We're trying, this is a older couple that, is trying to keep it as maintenance free as possible.
Or is fiberglass, so.
And it will be painted white, so it will have the appearance at the end of being a smooth finished product. So it's just not going to have any issues potentially rotting in the future.
Okay. What is the railing in the back? What's that made of?
It's all out of wood, so that's going to be pine.
All right, so the railings are going to be pine.
Correct.
But your columns are going to be fiberglass?
The front columns are fiberglass, correct.
I don't know, I'll toss it out to the other board members. I have a problem with that.
Yeah, that looks like a bad precedent. What is AZEK?
That's a composite material.
So when I looked it up, I thought it was PVC.
It's not really PVC. It's composite. I think they use. Right.
Yeah, I don't know what it's made.
It's also paint grade, which again, we can be painted to have the same texture as if it were a smooth piece of wood with a painted finish on it as well.
And that's all of these for you here and here.
Correct.
The corner boards and
It's the shingle too?
the shingles.
Oh, interesting.
The shingles and the clapboards are all fiber cement. Those are all James Hardie, different textures, different, the gables a shake look versus a smooth clapboard look.
Oh, I see.
What are the roof shingles?
It's an asphalt architectural shingle.
All right, Anybody have any other
You
questions?
wanna hang out? You.
So where the column meets the roof line near the front door, it seems like there's like a horizontal piece that is inset from the column, so the column isn't fully supporting the.
Well, it's a framing.
Correct, the girder that goes above the two columns on the front porch.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Is that gonna be exposed?
When you say exposed, it's gonna be underneath the roof and the eave, but you know, it's
Yeah,
outside.
it's gonna be visible.
Yes, it will be visible, but that's depicting it accurately. You will, because there is framing that has to go underneath that roof.
Instead of it just continuing
Yeah, I think the question is like, just why doesn't it continue to the edge of the column? To the column.
I'm not, that's not a problem if you need me to push it over a few inches so it terminates right on the edge of the column. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. The trim above the garage door seems like it did not get changed to match the windows, which is just a very simple trim.
Would you like to get rid of the header, the ornate header, and just do a picture frame trim all the way around?
Yeah, the crown molding on top.
No problem. So we'll get rid of that.
I'm still struggling, and this is a bigger issue, so I would love you all to weigh in. But with the garage protruding past the front facade, if it was accessory, it would have to be lower behind. And in elevation, I think it's less imposing, but I think if with a rendering from a side view, which you'll often approach this building, that the front door will feel secondary to the garage door. You see it a little bit there. And to me, it's a precedent that I haven't seen in the village. There's one CMU garage from the 50s close to Tott's lot, which is anomalous and eccentric and fine. It's been there. But other than that, I haven't seen that before. And it seems like an odd move. I recognize this was previously a two-car garage, but it represented as a two-car garage, and it's not representing as that anymore. And given the size of the lot and the scale of the building in relation to the lot, it feels like a very imposing gesture on a house.
Protruding forward.
I don't, based on the size of the lot, if I remember correctly.
Does it meet zoning code for established?
I know, but I mean,
existing neighborhoods.
putting the garage elsewhere, I don't know if that's feasible given the size of the lot.
And as I said, the couple that intends on moving into this home, they are aging in place, so they're trying to eliminate as many steps as possible while maintaining at least a one-car garage. And yeah, that's the best, considering the lot conditions. That's the best alternative or solution we were able to come up with.
I mean, it would.
What's the garage? All right, I guess.
There are other options that pushes in a little more.
Or is it separate entirely?
Or it's separate entirely, or it's.
They probably don't want to do that, which I understand.
Share, or I'm not sure. It just feels off to me. I understand there's some, plan conditions that they're trying to achieve, but there must be other options.
I wonder whether it would be possible to consider I appreciate that this is a very compact floor plan on a very relatively compact lot. And obviously you need the space for the car to actually get into the garage, or else it's useless. But I wonder whether because the view, I think the concern is about the view coming off of Main Street and Rock Street and turning onto Kemble and seeing the garage before you see the front door. Would it be possible to replace the first window of the garage with a pedestrian door so that it reads a little bit more like, I guess, a sort of enclosed mudroom sort of thing? I mean, we see around the village in antiquity as well as in contemporary design, these sort of little enclosed mudroom spaces, enclosed parts of porches, things that are the little like transition spaces, and maybe just adding something as simple as a pedestrian door to that side facade. I'm looking at the proposed right side elevation and talking about the window all the way to the left on that side. I wonder if that would just be enough of a adjustment to kind of soften that whole elevation and make it look a little bit more residential and less like the front of a garage.
So you're saying on the right elevation, that front, the window, furthest to the left as I'm looking at the floor plan, replace that with a man door?
Yeah, and which is not uncommon to see on the side of an attached garage anyway, on a much bigger scale. I think it's pretty common that people have both vehicle doors and pedestrian doors on them. I mean, this is sort of like a very, very mini version of it, but I think it could just have it read a little bit, yeah, I think it could just soften that protrusion off of the front when you're approaching it from Main Street. I mean, I think it would be impossible to get rid of, it would be impossible to push the entire garage back behind the front door. And I think to build on top of it just so that it acts as a whole bay is also not practical at all. So if the concern is softening the appearance of this projection, your front door is still going to be set beyond it, but if we can make the garage have a little bit more of an appearance of an entryway and less of a vehicle entryway.
Yeah, can I share my screen?
You should be able to. Yeah.
I mean, I
Go
think
ahead.
it's an interesting idea.
So really quickly, I mean, I assume I wanted to just kind of put a visual. This is what you're talking about. Put a door really right here in lieu of the window.
That is what I was referring to, yes.
And then just want to confirm extending this column to the end of, this girder to the end of this column.
Well, I still have a problem with the fiberglass column and the fiberglass doors. I mean, you've got all the guardrails made out of wood, but then all of a sudden you change to fiberglass as far as the porch posts and the door.
The posts, I mean, again, it's a little bit more painting. I would be more, willing to suggest that to the owner versus the fiberglass door, only because of the maintenance issue with the swelling and contracting in the northeast. And it is a paint grade door, so when it's painted, it's going to have a smooth texture. It's not going to appear to be anything other than wood when it is finished painted. But if in all honesty, we're trying to get these people in as soon as possible. So if I can amend these columns and put a note in that they're going to be changed to wood, I think that would be fine. If I had to change the door, I would. But I mean, to me, I wouldn't do it at my own house. I would suggest it on my own house. So it's kind of hard for me to tell the owner that it's.
Is your house in the district?
Is my house?
This structure is going to outlive the current tenants, and it's something that the district's going to have to live with. So,
Okay.
You have to understand the purpose of our review is to ensure that the structures that are built, and this is a totally new structure that we're adding to the district, comply with the rules and regulations, and that's all we're trying to do.
Okay.
We understand that we're trying to facilitate the people moving into this, but we have an obligation to the district to have at least some compliance with the guidelines.
I understand. I'm just trying to get this done as quickly as possible for them. So, I mean, is there anything that I could just note quickly and then, have it approved condition on that? Or would I have to go back to another meeting?
All right, Todd, do you have something that you want?
I was going to suggest, I think, as a way of kind of ameliorating Kate's concern is pushing the recessed facade where the front door is, pushing that forward. Were you just saying
I can't push that forward because it's on an existing foundation. The only part that I'm pushing forward a little bit is the existing garage. That would actually increase the footprint of the existing foundation.
The porch could get pushed forward though.
The porch, yes. If you wanted me to extend the porch by some, I would have to lower the pitch if that would be okay, because I'm right underneath that window right now, but I wouldn't have a problem doing that.
Are you pouring a new foundation though for the garage?
For this that little section in the garage, yes. Everything else is staying as is.
So would extending the front entry to pour that as well, so that it's in plan, there's less of a severe change from.
Well, I mean, if I ended up doing the porch, that would be fine if that's the goal. But if I ended up extending the front, that would make the house bigger. And again, insurance isn't paying for that much more of what they had. So, you know, I understand your responsibility. I'm also trying to make sure that at the end of the day, the homeowner can afford to do this.
Sean, do you have an opinion about that idea? And changing basically the roof, the whole roof above the garage would be one shed roof basically across the front facade, right? If the porch was deeper and began.
So kind of like this.
Well, realistically, he has a point concerning, if you look at it over here, the further out this goes, the shallower the pitch on the roof.
I also have to look at the zoning because I don't know that would fit within the setbacks at that point. The front porch is the property of the house is good at the site plan.
It shouldn't have a problem with setbacks because you got the garage.
I understand, but the porch, like the further, because of the angle of the house on the property as it is, the reason actually we put the garage on this side, the right hand side, as you're looking at from the road of the property, is because I put it on the left hand side. It would have encroached on the side yard setback. So to avoid variances, we ended up putting the garage on the other side, putting it on again as you're standing on Kemble. We put the garage on the right, avoiding, and we pushed this porch back purposely to avoid that setback being an issue. So again, I have no problem doing it. I just don't want to have to encroach another variance. And by the way, there is an encroachment on the neighbor behind. Their garage is physically on my client's property. So we're trying to keep the current nonconformities at a minimum. It's already non-conforming as is.
So I think with the new zoning code, you have 5 feet on each side and 12.5 total required. So there's a little more wiggle room. I don't see the offsets on your site plan. But I would be curious if you fall within those more lenient setbacks than previously allowed.
Well, yeah, it's problematic. I mean, you're talking about asphalt shingle, which is 12.
Yeah.
What is the current pitch of the roof?
I wouldn't advocate bringing the garage and the porch under the same roof pitch. I think that would be, if the front of the garage were further back and and you were able to fit it under that porch roof on one plane, that would be one thing. But I think we don't want to manipulate the porch to such a degree that then that looks like something that's out of sync with the rest of the district.
I agree with that. There's a sweet spot. I'm not sure we've landed on it. I mean, we're looking at the plan of the garage and we see a utility closet in the back, so that 24, 28 inches could get cut back off the front, saving 2 feet or so and making it less of a protrusion if that closet goes away.
Well, that's a utility closet. I don't have anywhere else. There is no basement in this house. It's on I'm raising it up about 18 inches from the current grade, and it's on a slab, so I wouldn't have anywhere to put your hot water heater. We were really pushing 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag in here. So,
Well,
I just don't have anywhere space for it.
all right, I've got another question for you because basically the slope of the roof of the garage looks like it's like 3-on-12. I mean, it's a relatively flat, but it's flatter than the porch, the roof of the porch. So you've got a very strange intersection where the roof of the porch meets the roof of the garage. So that if you do in fact push the porch out a little bit, so that the pitch of the two roofs match, then you have a better condition where the two roofs meet.
So if I'm understanding this, you would prefer, hold on, let me see if I can show it really quickly. Having one roof, you know, covering both the garage and the porch.
No. I mean, you know, I think that keeping the two roofs as separate volumes, but you've got the roof of the porch is at a different pitch than the roof of the garage. And all I'm saying is that if you pull the porch out, then yes, and not doesn't have to come out that far, but whatever
I understand.
whatever matches the pitch of the the pitch of the garage.
Yeah, bear with me on, you know.
No, thank you for doing this. Thank you.
It's not going to be perfect, but you know, I think you'll. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're getting at, and you know, comprehending, you know, making sure we're on the same page. So let me just clean that up real quick so it's easier to see. Yeah, I mean,
Bringing them closer.
All right, hold on 1 second. Actually, I'll give me 2 seconds and I'll make it so it's fine, accurate.
Al, is the purpose of this review today to determine readiness for a public hearing, or was it determined that this would not require a public hearing?
Last month, yeah, we agreed that it required a public hearing for the new zoning.
Yeah, it's a public hearing.
This is determining the readiness for a public hearing. That's what we're talking about today. Okay.
So a decision won't be made tonight regardless?
Not if we have to have a public hearing, and this is a new structure.
So does that mean I do have, or do we not know? Like, what's the what determines that?
Last month when we spoke, we determined that we would need a public hearing. So this meeting is to prepare us for that.
Okay, so this obviously is not the public hearing then. My architect misinformed me.
Right. Essentially, what we're trying to do is get it so where if we don't hear any other adverse comments from the public, then we can vote on it. Right? All right.
But yeah, that's what, and obviously I would move this forward, you know, the porch forward to, you know, hit that at the same spot. But I believe that's what you're describing, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Do we think the front, would it look better if the front porch extended to the side of the house too?
I think, you know, realistically, I think we're talking about relatively compact structure that
I think the two little windows in the garage probably garage doors need to go away.
Well, I guess let me recap what we have agreed to, so that at least, you know, there's no confusion.
Windows
All right, so let's start with the fiberglass door and columns are replaced with wood, right?
Mhm.
The crown molding at the top of the garage door is deleted.
Yep.
The 2 windows in the garage door.
Yeah, this is extended.
The extension of the column, yep, I'll note that up here.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to suggest also making the cladding consistent so that we're not introducing different patterns, but just having it all horizontal instead of this different?
You're talking about the shingle at the top?
Yeah.
And over the garage.
I mean, you know, it's obvious that this is a modern structure, so I don't really have that much of a problem.
That part doesn't bother me that much either.
All right, and also the first window on the garage is now an entry door, man door.
Correct. Yep.
That was just merely a suggestion on my part to deal with the issue of the garage being proud. I mean, I'm not married to that at all. I was just making a suggestion. So if the rest of the
I
board
think that
doesn't care about that, then I wouldn't
Sean,
insist.
that's your idea, and now it's going to go down in history as
Yeah, as long as my name's on a little plaque next to it, then
I think that was a good idea.
Okay.
The 2 little windows in the garage door should go away.
Well, first of all, what is the material of the garage door?
The garage door is steel.
Steel. I guess I'm willing to live with it as long as I agree the windows go away.
Yeah.
So I assume, I don't want to assume, that let's show real quick. That the panels are okay, the look is okay, you just want me to get rid of the glass?
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of discussed making a 2/2.
And small, that is why.
And kind of slimming them down, the windows on the front facade specifically.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, the egress gets established on the side instead of in the front, proportionally these can be smoother.
Well, and the issue I think is egress, emergency egress.
Isn't that now here?
No.
And I'm sorry if there's a question, I couldn't hear you.
These 2.
This is a closet. And sorry, we're discussing the upper level windows. When we talked last month, we had requested windows on the north side to serve for egress purposes, and that the windows on the east side be made smaller, possibly with 2/2 instead of 4/4. The horizontal orientation of the lights is unusual and proportionate to the house. The overall windows seem too large.
Well, I guess I'm not sure what difference reducing the mutton configuration is going to make.
Oh, I think that's actually a really, yeah, I think that's a big one, personally.
And I'm sorry, which elevation are we on?
The front elevation. I mean, all of the windows, the panes should be vertically oriented, not square or kind of bordering on horizontally oriented. They should be vertically. So last meeting, we had talked about the windows being 2 panes over 2 panes instead of 4 panes over 4.
Got it. So you want me to get rid of, I assume?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Well, but all right, let's be specific. Because what you're talking about is making the windows narrower.
I feel more strongly about the light pattern than the dimensions of the windows. I think that it was brought up that that could be kind of slimmed down to lessen the impact on the front facade. I don't think it personally doesn't bother me the way they are. I think the light pattern adjustment would suffice for me. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think somebody I heard somebody say that there is an egress window, which is correct on the right elevation of the master bedroom. That is an egress window. I could make these other smaller. They obviously like a lot of natural light. That's why I try to keep them as big as possible. Plus, when you're in the room, you know, it sometimes looks awkward having one window a little bit different than the other right next to each other. But push comes to shove, I'm sure that they will be okay making the front second floor windows, you know, instead of a 3046, maybe a 2'4" by 4'6", you know, keeping the same height, but making them a little bit narrower. But you know, please tell me, make sure I make the adjustment.
What is the current width of the window?
3 feet.
3 feet?
3 foot.
Yep.
I think you said
3 feet by 4'6", which is the smallest double hung egress window.
So narrowing.
3 foot is what the code requires as far as egress window.
I think it's like 5 point.
I thought it was less.
5.7 square feet per sash.
Yeah.
So when you get a casement window, you can get a smaller window. But when you have a double hung window, one of those sashes has to be a minimum of 5.7 square feet, which equals an Anderson 400 series window, a 3046.
I see what you're getting at. You know, if it's a double hung window, then
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Sean, do you have an opinion on that?
I think simply changing to a 2/2 is enough for me, but if they can be narrower and still meet egress, I would certainly look at it. I think
are we all good with just changing the light pattern, I think is.
Yeah, I think that's
I think the only ones that we can probably reduce the width are the ones on the front facade, but then, you know, it won't match all of the other windows that are being installed. So I'd rather keep them consistent.
So I think basically changing all of the windows to 2 pane over 2 pane.
Okay, and we're talking about this, right?
Yeah. And then the sliders kind of represent a bit of a different thing, but I don't even know if that's visible from the street.
Well, you're talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
I don't think that's visible, Todd, because this backs onto the hill on Rock Street.
Yeah, the rear is not visible.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Even the side's not really visible.
But I kind of feel like some sliders, since they're such a modern building element, should just be large, like no divisions.
Probably.
I can just get rid of the grills completely.
Does anyone else agree?
I think I don't have much of an opinion as far as the rear because I don't think very many people see it. I think if you can simplify the Munson pattern, because we're simplifying all the windows, and then to have such a busy pattern on the sliding doors.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree. If I didn't have that grill pattern personally, I would think that it would be better.
Yeah.
Without any grills at all.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll probably make this man door going onto the rear deck, clear glass as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
Do we require like window drawings and details and stuff, or?
I was just, because windows do require a sill or apron, no picture frame windows, right? So that's something that these are Anderson, but that's something I'm seeing here. That no picture frame windows are allowed, right? And there needs to be some sort of more of a sill or an apron on these.
What do you mean no picture frame windows?
Like you need a sill.
You're talking about, oh, the sill, yeah. I, I don't have any problem. I mean, it's a modern building. It just needs to reflect
Yeah,
the visuals, the design of the historic buildings that are there. So I think if we can get some of these other changes that we're talking about, I would be happy with that rather than.
Okay.
Okay, do we have anything else that we, okay, so, the guardrails in the back are all wood, as the entire deck is wood, right?
That's correct.
Okay, deck.
And I'll point it out. I'll make sure that we call it out.
Cool. Okay.
It gives it a little.
Anybody have any other questions? Any other comments?
I think we. Lattice.
Okay, do we have,
What's our rule about lattice?
you're talking about
Is that okay?
huh?
Is that okay?
Well, I think that what Todd's talking about is the cover for under the porch.
Oh, just
Yeah, it's like a lattice. I just.
Lattice.
Yeah.
The lattice that's encloses the porch, and I would assume it's also, well, the question is that looking at the left side elevation, is the lattice going to continue around to that side?
Yeah, I would say that would make sense. So I'll continue that over here.
And AZAC, I'm still getting familiar with. Are you all familiar with it? Because this is saying it is rot-proof PVC. Is it something that we've used before, that we've approved?
Yeah.
It's not.
I think so.
I haven't seen a visit. Yeah, I'm just not at all familiar with it.
It's paintable. My father's garage it's a wood building, and all of the trim around the windows is AZAC and painted white. I think
It's so hardy board is
that's like a
cement based,
Right.
but AZAC is PVC based, but it's still a composite material. I went to a SHPO conference, and they were talking about, they happen to like AZAC.
Okay.
They like it, we like it.
Okay.
All right, so do I have a motion to schedule a public hearing for this application?
Sure, I will make a motion to schedule a public hearing for this application.
Do I have a second?
Sean, you want to
I'll
jump in?
second. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds great.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So when can we schedule a public hearing?
Okay, so the next date for this board to meet would be June, be the first Tuesday in June. Gives us enough time.
4th.
That would be the 4th, yeah.
And if you don't know, I can check tomorrow, but is there a certain time frame I need to get you the revised plans before in order to make sure that we hit that date?
Well, yeah, the plans need to be on file so that anybody doesn't want to deal with it on a computer, from a computer, can come in and take a look at the plans.
Yeah, not a problem. I can get you hard copies as well.
Yeah.
But when do I need to get those to you by?
Well, we would need to post it and which means we need to put it on the village website and also run it in our newspaper. But that only needs to be done about 10 days before. So if we're talking about the 4th, going back 10 days, basically we would need them sort of mid next week at the latest. Is that doable?
If I say May 15th, is that fair? I'll get it to you by Friday if I have to. I just want to make sure I
Yeah,
don't miss
no,
a
May
date.
15th would be fine because Karen, would we run if the public hearing is going to be on the 4th, we would put it in the PCNR on for the 22nd and the current on the 24th. Is that right?
Hold on. You could put it, yeah, if you submit it by May 17th, then
Yes.
it would be on the 22nd and 29th.
22nd and 29th. Okay. Yeah, so we just need, so basically when the post runs in the paper, we need to say that the drawings are already at Village Hall. So the 15th would be totally fine.
And any specific amount of copies you need, and I would assume at full scale?
One set at full scale would be sufficient to have ahead of time.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then also we can connect with the applicant as well. There's a neighbor notification requirement and they need to post a sign at the site, but that's all again within like that sort of 10-day stretch before. So that's all stuff we can get going on.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, we'll handle any of the mailers. The owner is actually down in Florida right now, so they're coming back soon, but they're not here yet. I'll take care of that for them. And just so I'm clear, so obviously I have to get everything to you by mid next week. We're going to be on the public hearing for June 4th, and at that point, assuming that there is no objection and we met all the requirements, we ended up making all the changes that you deem necessary. Will be approved that night?
Yes, it will.
And then I go straight to building.
I would say
after that.
we take the feedback of the neighbors very seriously. However, our goal is that we can.
I've been to plenty of meetings. I understand if a neighbor comes out with an objection. I understand.
Our goal is that we would have an answer for you that night. Yes.
Okay.
And then could you just update the door, the front door, the garage door, and the window cut sheets in the package as well?
Okay, so you need new.
Yeah, all the cut sheets should reflect what we talked about tonight.
Okay, the new cut sheets for the front door, the garage door, and
the windows.
Oh, well, the cut sheet would be the same. It would just be a grill pattern.
Okay. Is that that's all we have?
All right. Well, just one thing, just to sort of clarify, the grill configuration, what's circled for is the full divided light, but on the drawings, you say simulated divided light.
It should be a full. You're correct.
Full? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so did we vote on it, Karen? Did we vote on it? Okay. So we'll see you next month for the public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next. Five Furnace Street.
What is that? Is that just is that an extra?
And no, I'm gonna give it to you if you don't have it.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Hello again.
Hey, guys. Can't blame us for trying to stay in the seat.
Okay. So who wants to describe for us what you guys are proposing?
We are proposing to, we'll go to existing elevation, which is HDRB-07. And so currently, there is a 2-story towards the front of the house and 1-story addition, an old addition towards the back of the house. And we would like to add a primary suite on top of this back of the house.
Just a little context. So this is one of the row houses, mostly twins down Furnace Street. We've renovated it over the past nearly 20 years. It's the only one that remains that still has the original 2-story configuration.
This one is extended, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, that one's already extended.
Yeah.
So they're all done in very different ways, and mostly they've just kind of extruded it backwards. This one does actually a nice job in stepping it back, but they have a larger lot, and it actually is built onto our property too. So that helps them do that nice smooth. So our approach is to try to respect that original volume, but still get the added space that we need as a contemporary family.
And to be honest, when we applied for a zoning board application prior to this, we tried extruding our neighbor's roof line onto ours, and it just looked wonky. It just didn't look right on our house, ironically, because
and our next door neighbors didn't want us building onto their property. But you can see that in our scheme on HDRB 13, you can see the peak of the neighbors actually still is taller than ours.
Yeah, so we're proposing to do an architectural solution where we are honoring, like maintaining the original house and having a transition. Obviously, we're not going to have a glass transition at our house. So we're doing a more of a metal roof that matches our front porch metal roof as an intermediate section, and then a classic, contemporary classic cube as our bedroom, and then below it, we're enclosing our covered porch,
the existing
covered porch in a similar fashion as our front porch.
So yeah, that paneled situation is the same details far from the
front porch. So we're trying to play with architectural language that is merging from old and the new, and also honoring the details of the old house and the materials, etc.
And kind of story busting the progression of the house too. So that this portion here in the center, that's where our kitchen is currently. And that was at one point the rear porch of the house, only evidenced by the framing that's purposely sloped to the back, so our kitchen floor slopes. But also there were a few, there was one very original column in that, in the architecture of it. So we were able to kind of piece that together, and so we're just trying to maintain some of that. The history of the building.
Is that a new fence up front?
No, existing.
Not a new fence?
No, it's not.
It's the same as this elevation, just the same detailing.
The front elevation is exactly the same. The paneling on the front porch is what we're referring to as what we're replicating as the panel under the sun porch on the side house.
And this fence on the side is the same as the
Front,
front.
yes.
I like the overall approach. We building grow over time. So you're showing here that this will match the pattern of.
No, yes, sorry,
Somehow
that.
yeah, it's not wrong, but that'd be a photo.
AutoCAD versus.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah, the front elevation has it.
Right, so this is all core 10?
We're proposing for 10, something warm, you know, we don't want it to look too stark, and so we thought Cortland would be a fun, warm material. And you can see there is an example here that where they used Cortland for an old barn. We thought that was a fun juxtaposition.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the material doesn't come like weathered. It will weather in place. Yeah.
Well, you know that basically it'll dribble.
Stain. Yeah. Yeah. But it's okay. We have more stain from the neighboring tree.
I guess the one question I would have is that obviously only one.
Wow.
The addition is something new and it can have its own image. I guess the question is, how do you or what is it that you're saying that this responds to the buildings in the area? I mean, we're not looking for it to mimic what the other buildings have done, but I'm just trying to see how it respects, the other buildings in the district, especially along this, which is a relatively historic section of Cold Spring.
Well, it's one of the oldest sections of Cold Spring. I have a copy of the deed transcript from 1837. This is workers' housing from the original foundry. The original structure is represented and maintained in a way that is not reflected in the other alterations up and down the street. So we are maintaining the original context in I think, a much clearer way than has been done. And so to take an approach where we purposely follow kind of not very thoughtful alterations, I think is not an appropriate response.
Well, I don't think that I agree that it doesn't have to follow all of the details, but typically new structures, particularly, for example, the one that we just finished reviewing, needs to somehow acknowledge the context that it's in and at least have something which relates the new part to the existing, even though, you know, it can be different, but it still needs to visually tie it together.
There are a couple of like a boxy looking volumes across the street. Perhaps we can take photos. I mean, it does have gable roof on that, but it does have this kind of more of a flat boxy facade. Maybe we can take photos of that next time.
Well, I guess this would be a metal roof. Is that top of this a metal roof also?
No, it'll be
It's a, you know, a low slope roof. You could be considering to put in green roof on it actually.
Because I can see, you know, here we've got all of the siding which carries through to the original. The wire, the fence, the wire fence. Okay, but then it's in the back. And I get a feeling that we want to be dealing with it.
I have a few.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I like it, which I generally go in the direction of like do a good job mimicking the old rather than a complete departure, but I do like it. I think a few things for me that sort of stand out that feel a little visually kind of I'm just kind of not there are the panels here. I feel like it's adding something that just shouldn't be there. I'm not going to use the word. I don't have the words to it just feels like it should be. Yeah.
We're torn about
Yeah.
Right, we are torn about that too. This is there.
Yeah, so I feel like that could just be simplified. I wonder if this area right in here could be sort of unified as well.
That's existing.
Oh, those are existing windows?
Yeah, this board is existing and this is all existing, yeah.
Okay.
I know, yeah, it was tough.
The structure. And then my only other kind of feeling is I'm not in love with this roof here as the joiner between the two. And I kind of glanced at the floor plan and is this the shower? Is that I don't know if anyone else has any opinion on that. I feel like this kind of wants to be connected and speak more to the original structure than to that. And I don't really love how they merge.
That to me is something that I feel very strongly against because that blurs that line of what's original and what's new.
Right. And I agree with you about this because I was torn about that. That's new, but we're trying, you know, aesthetically it seemed fine, but timeline wise it's not old, right? So
yeah,
we totally agree with you there. This one was we were definitely trying to find a good transition. It was like a transition piece. We also tried expanding that, and that was too overwhelming. That was overwhelming.
Yeah, and even extending this out would be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it would be like a false volume. And this is kind of subservient here to the original house, but then introduces, but is set back from this other volume, which is smaller. Thank you for that. No, really, like I like that this is not big as this.
I don't have any problem with the standing seam roof because we do have standing seam roofs elsewhere in district, so it is something which, you know, is a recognizable feature.
It looks like I'll make that keep on the table, but one thought on that is that we have a slate roof. We'll be taking most of the rear slate off. And I was thinking of repurposing the slate for that transition piece.
But I think it reads heavier than metal. That's why I was pressing that.
Yeah, I think I might like that.
Yeah, it is.
the metal. Sean?
I think we're all talking about the same thing, but it's the 5-degree wall being in the standing seam is of a very dynamic new design. That was like the one thing that jumped out to me as being
Yeah.
a little, it's almost like one too many things. But what I appreciate James and Juhi saying is that they want the, I guess if we're looking on HDRB 13, they want the rightmost volume to sort of be outlined in a way to show that that's the original piece. I I just wonder whether I have no issue with this standing seam roof at the roof level itself,
Yeah.
but it's this sort of vertical panel. Is it, would it be more, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's like,
that's sort of what I'm saying too, Sean. Yeah, I agree.
it just seems like a little bit of I don't know if, yeah, if it's either more of the Corten or if it's some other thing to just to keep that really distinct outline. It's almost like it's almost like, I don't know what, two halves of an oyster or something, or like it's like two things interlocking together. And
like the top volume connecting over.
Right, and having there be this really like sharp horizontal line, and then the vertical, and then the pitch of the roof, and keeping that sort of outline really distinct. But
yeah,
the standing seam is just the thing that kind of muddies it a little bit. So that's really the only, in terms of the shapes and the materials, that was the only area where, because it, even with this addition, will remain a pretty petite building. I just don't know if that can be changed. And I wonder if even, I mean, we'll get into a little bit of a water issue, but even, and a floor plan issue, but even if that wall, whether instead of being the 5% pitch, if it were to be, um, you know, plumb, straight, and set back however many inches that would be from the original cottage volume, and then whatever the material ended up being, would that physical separation be enough to separate it as sort of newness? But
the original configuration ends here, right? I mean, that's
well, that's the porch. That's the old porch. Yeah.
So so if you look at yeah, so you can see on 07 what the original is. So yeah, so we would basically take this shallow triangle off.
Right. If you take out the little bit of the triangle, then that's where
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it basically telescopes back on the the current condition.
I think I would like this more if I agree with what Sean said, that up here I like the metal. Part of me thinks if this was incorporated into this and it extended forward, it would work better. There's something about introducing that third thing between these, that I'm
because the setback alone would like that begin the transition between the building with the same material.
You've got a standing seam roof on the porch. So basically that just picks up what you have.
I mean, most, I might be wrong, but I think our guidelines are okay with metal roofs on like kind of accessory elements to the structure, but not on the main roof of the house.
I don't think it's the case.
We encourage it to be only used on porches and bays and things like that, but we have
but I mean, we've had instances where the standing seam is the roof. It's not just little pieces here and there. I mean, obviously with porches, you really need it because the issue becomes the pitch. You can't have, shingles, and realistically on the front, you can't really have EPDM or any sort of membrane roof. So you've got to go with something that, a shingle, because that's that's the only thing that'll stay watertight.
I think maybe for next meeting, we can try different solution. Maybe we can try the same material as the cube or wood. Maybe it's just the same wood but vertical, although this is sun bleached, so it's not going to be the same color. But yeah, maybe it's the wood vertical setback. We can try those a few options there rendered. Yeah.
And I think that 16 is a really important drawing because it, puts it really in perspective.
Yeah.
Quite literally. So
yeah.
And that's, I walked by this morning just to understand sort of how the front reads, how the side reads. And I understand this sort of connecting element, and I like that that pushes the overall mass of the bedroom back. In general, I think the added area, it makes sense for what you're trying to do and fits. It's such a beautiful sort of detailed building on the front. I really like this as a contemporary addition. I just wonder the sort of floating cube that's wider than the building itself, if it draws more attention to the original building itself, and sort of how that being on the board, but how that should be calibrated. If it's too, I think it's only 7 inches over, but it just
wider. Is it's protruding out this way?
It's protruding out south, yeah, and it's
Look at 16.
Or and you can.
Because you don't see it, and you don't see it sticking out like there.
Look at 16. You can see that.
Maybe in plan.
I thought, yeah, it looks flat.
Yeah.
The floor plan just shows it as being
This
flat.
Here.
Oh, right there. I'm looking at the wrong side.
And I think I think that can get reduced.
yeah, I think
Yeah, I think that can get reduced.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
We just need to detail like how much insulation do we want, outbound and such.
And we're still, we just started with our structural engineer about how to make this cantilever in the corner. So that relation and the discussion about stepping back that middle portion, it's certainly germane to the structural support of this coming out. So, we've got to keep that in mind. We can't step back to a point where we can't get the structure in there. So
step this back?
This center point. Yeah.
So could you step it back to be in line with this?
I don't think we want to align.
Yeah,
I think we want to distinguish like this as a minor and this as
the interplay of the original, that kind of transition to space and the new is important to our approach. But I think structurally, I do think that this protruding too far forward is a problem. We do need to pull it back.
So I think next iteration, we work out the details further with the structure engineer and then play with the materiality. And I think we could find a good solution.
But this wall is not flush with this.
It is.
This is, but it's, I think it's this, I don't know why.
Or is it just the second floor?
Oh, no, where it's being cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the 5 degree.
Okay.
Above, that's
back.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was confused. I'm seeing like it go this way, then in, then back out. So it's not, it's really just, this is straight across.
Yeah.
Right.
Typically, the cut is 3 feet above floor level.
Right, and the Revit software is very literal, like it is very literal where
Yeah, so your toilet is going back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, so you guys are really not looking for an approval today.
Yeah.
Whoa. He's like, was that even
that was an option?
Well, you have enough information here for it to be an option, but it sounds like there's still a bunch of things that you guys want to work your way through.
I think that's fair to say, right? I think it's just the material. What you want?
Yeah.
Let us give you specific feedback
That'd be cool.
so that at least, all right, I'll give you my feedback. I think that, it is a very attractive, addition. I think, I'm not convinced that the cube at the end, is something which, lends itself to this structure. But I see what you're doing, and I think if you look at different things, Core 10, I would be concerned about that because I remember in architecture school, the guy told us a story about a Core 10 building that went up next to a building that was clad in marble. They regret it. It just that, that's how it weathers.
Yeah, it's unpredictable. So we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the material of the addition section and the lower, the enclosed material. What's that? And I think it'll be a fun addition.
So that's my 2 cents. Todd.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of addressed it. I think the paneling, doing something different. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then the standing seam roof, that transition, playing with that, and maybe a few other options or something.
Great.
John?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really just nailing that sort of hyphen between the old mass and the very, very new mass. And just, keeping a somewhat limited palette. I think it's something that could be achieved with differentiation in the planes more than the material. But of course, I trust that you'll find the best solution.
That's good. Thank you.
Let me just ask, is there any urgency on this front door? Is that something you need an answer on today, or?
Well, I mean,
it does have a long lead.
Yeah, well, it's as long as the windows, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're coming together.
Thank you for that. Great, thank you, Michelle.
I think we've talked about a lot of what this to me can maybe just keep what's there already, like maybe the wood, the horizontal.
Yeah, well, it's a different plane, but yeah.
Yeah, but just put something that's sticking out. And then, I think maybe extending the Core 10 or whatever you guys like use there might be nice. Okay, cool. Great.
I guess because it's so prominent from the front street, I'm from Furnace Street. Again, I like it, but as far as sort of a historic building, I'm surprised that we would be so open to a contemporary addition. And so I'm not, I constantly want to I should just get a desk in the basement and look through our archives to understand what's been done previously.
You should know that every surface in that building has been touched by these hands. And that house now, it has no bearing on what it was when we bought it. Most of it is in a dumpster.
That's fair, probably vinyl siding. I mean, it's
asphalt shingle siding.
Right.
Yeah.
But you brought it back to sort of its historic.
Yeah. I've rebuilt that porch myself.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
With that detail.
But to answer your question, I think historic preservation does not, you're constantly struggling with trying to recreate historic fabric that was never there.
Right.
And certainly one approach is to make the difference between what is there and what is new clean and clear. And I think that's the approach that they're taking, and that should be fine with us.
Okay.
And in general, I do agree. I'm more Peter Pennoyer than Bjork Engels. I'm definitely I agree with you completely. I'm trying to be open-minded, and I think it is beautiful. It's a very different take for the village, but
I
there are
think,
two different avenues
yeah,
for,
I think
for,
the,
you know.
the one thing that you do have to keep in mind is that, the front porch is right on the sidewalk. And so what you see in that area is going to be very visible from this sidewalk. Keep that in mind as you,
I'm sorry, so front porch is very visible, or this is very visible?
This on page
yeah, the whole,
16, right?
Yeah.
This facade is, I, you know,
Right, yeah.
you see it almost equally to the front.
Right, and I'm wondering, so I think, my thinking is that if the addition is not too stark, like white box hanging over there, that. I think if we were warming, like warm it up a little bit, if that could be a better approach. I know, I don't think we review colors, but.
Unfortunately, we are not allowed to talk about colors. I guess
there are colors.
Yeah.
We deal in black and white.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to take that?
No, actually, I just want to page print it up. One page is missing, sorry. We had existing photo in there.
Okay, so
Great, thank you all.
we'll return next month.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's something else.
9 Orchard Street. Have a seat.
So we are trying to create historic fabric, which was never done.
That's right.
Okay.
So.
It's a 12 by 11 old shed. It's falling apart. The southwest corner of the lot.
Okay.
It just needs to be replaced.
In case anyone needs it, I made 6 copies of what the front of the house looks like, which you never saw. So it's gonna be looking, it's also gonna be looking like our house. As much as possible. So anyway, if anyone wants copies of that, you can run that around.
Is this the workshop?
Yes.
Or that one. I know that's I live there's one property, one lot between them and my house. What's the recuse like? What am I allowed to speak or?
Or not unless you have a financial interest in it.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we can't see the shed right now because of a tree, but we can't use that as a mitigating factor.
This is the shed.
Yes.
Yes.
But what we're looking to do is the same footprint. Instead of a cambrial roof, it would be just a normal straight roof, but with about the same height as the right one. And the frame would be a little fancier, of course, than being frame.
Okay. So what is your proposed action?
To take the old one away and build a new one.
Build a new one.
Yes.
Completely rotten, which is unusable.
Okay.
Raccoons have walked under.
Do you have any documentation on how long the shed's been there?
We have no idea how old it is.
Anybody have any Sanborn maps?
I do.
Okay.
And I can double check, but it's not.
Is it?
It's not on
I mean, it doesn't.
It's not on our tax map. It's old,
It has a
but.
lot of plywood, so I think it's not.
Yeah,
From
it's not like
1800.
1910, it's like 1970.
I would say like 60, 70s more.
Yeah, 67.
And I don't
What are the panels made out of? Are they plywood or particle board?
Plywood, and then there's the tile, like asphalt tiles on top of that. And
Right, yeah, this is all, you can see from the inside, it's all just plywood.
And yeah, simply as stated in the agenda, install new shed, same footprint and materials as existing shed, would be for large tool storage, same. Except one that's functional and one that large animals can't get into because the walls don't meet the ground because
So
it's rotted away.
The shed is over
Behind
here,
those
right?
trees,
Okay.
Okay, the last page. Oh,
Yeah, I'm just trying to orient, make sure I was.
And there's no good tax map. We've looked high and low. I've even gone to the county seat. So we provided the one we had, the only one we had that was clear enough was the one that, our fence builder,
All right, now, my next question is, I see that you've added all the framing in there. What is the exterior gonna look like?
12x1 planks, wooden planks, rough cut.
Okay, and do you have a drawing of that?
we provided, the only thing right now that we could give you is, this is, in your packet. It's the first photo, actually. Or it should be.
It's not exactly white, but that's.
Are you missing it? If you are, I can give you mine.
Nope, there you go.
Okay. So, I mean.
But the entrance would be on the end as opposed to the side.
So the entrance is now facing Orchard Street. So what we would prefer is to have it facing north, where the swimming pool is.
Here.
Yeah, so the aspect of the door, faces across our yard instead of.
And any windows on this side or?
No.
No other windows, just the one, right? Yeah, as Mati actually has here, he has done a restoration of an outbuilding at another property of ours, and yeah, we had Putnam Windows. They made the windows for us, so that's who we would use to make our window, and so that's why we don't have a catalog cut of the window.
But you really wouldn't even see you wouldn't really see the window from the street.
Nobody could see that window.
The door on the window, because it's gonna be over
No,
here.
the door on the window, right, only it would face our garage across at the northern end of our property.
Okay, I guess the problem that I have is that, there's really not enough you have a lot of framing information, which is all nice and good, but that's not visible from the exterior. And so I guess our question, what we would need is a sketch of what the exterior would look like.
Right, okay, so, thankfully Karen reminded us, I had looked for this meeting and I didn't find it, so she reminded us yesterday. We've both been really sick recently, so we just kind of last night got the closest thing we could get to giving you an idea. So we will certainly be able to do better, do better than this, in terms of giving an idea of what it will look like. This was just something taken off the internet.
Okay.
We just want to know like what the cladding will be and what the door will look like and what the roof will look like and really.
Okay.
And
like the
obviously there's a window that's going to be located somewhere.
Pretty much exactly like this.
But on the
Yeah,
other end.
yeah, on the side facing, yeah, see this, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, but I mean, all of the things that you're talking about really is what we would need on the drawing.
Okay.
Let me throw it out because I think it would probably be simpler if you actually did a sketch, because I think we have an idea of what you're proposing, and I don't think there's going to be any issue, but we need documentation, because ultimately what we need to send something up to the building inspector and say, this is what they're going to be building. Anybody have any problem with the plank siding?
The roof would be straight.
Straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
The only thing I
Wow.
can do.
Yay.
Well. That's a nice little feature.
what is it gonna fit on the same foundation, or is there any foundation? Or
There's cement slab. I don't know if it has pillars underneath, but plan is to fit it on the same.
okay, it's on the same slab,
It's on the
okay.
same exact slab.
So,
What you guys mean is to give you, so
Yeah.
here's our pool, here's our back fence. Orchard Street is here, B Street is back here, so it would fit, you're absolutely correct that it would, the aspect it faces
Oh, is the
northwest.
roof gonna be oriented that way? I assume that the,
Roof would be oriented the same way as now. I didn't.
So the door would be on the long side.
The door-
Not really.
Yeah.
Exactly. The roof orientation is currently like this. If you look at the front on picture, I think you can see that it's a rectangle. It's not a it's a 12 by 11. It's not a perfect square. So we would put it on the 12-foot side.
okay. Yeah.
That would be, yeah, I guess we just need to know, is it a solid door or a door?
how about the roof shingle? That's
Vermont
all.
slate.
Like,
No,
Slate.
slate, exactly.
Slate?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's done slate roofs.
Okay.
He picked it up in Vermont
Great.
himself. Yeah. Yeah, right now it's crappy moss-eaten asphalt.
okay, and everything is going to be wood trim,
yes.
okay. So I don't think there's gonna be any problem, but we do need something, some elevations so that we can approve something and give it to the building inspector.
No, I understood, we just didn't have time.
Yeah, we just scrambled last night. And again, thank you for letting us know that this meeting was now. Do you want to show this just for the heck of it?
Oh, sure. Pretty picture.
So another,
The previous project, before, after, and during.
the upper left is the
Wow.
before and the upper right is the after. And
Yeah.
he did it all. He
Thank
did
you.
all of it.
No, it's beautiful.
I love that you're.
With no
retired now.
nails,
Makes me very
everything,
happy.
and no nails or screws. It's all dovetails and bird mouths, and it's all the old joins, no nails,
It only took 2 years.
Nicely done.
while working as full.
Where is this? This is not in Cold, this is,
It's,
It's the
it's
first
just
lot outside
it's-
the village going down.
it's north, just north.
90,
oh, okay.
on 90. You can't see it from the road.
built in 1850.
Very cool.
Our house is 1897, so as you guys can guess how old the shed is. They did try to make it look,
Fakey.
yeah, like the house. It was a family of builders, the Eddas. Okay. So, any other questions?
No, so I guess,
Okay, drawing.
we'll see you next month.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna be in the hospital the first week of June. So.
Well-
Are you gonna be able to?
It is,
do
I think so.
everything yourself?
I think
Do
so.
it.
How much
Okay.
before the next meeting? Just
A month.
no, how much?
Oh, when do we need it?
materials?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
other words, when
yeah.
do you need that drawing with the elevations? He can do it,
That's
okay,
fine.
yeah, I mean, as long as we get it before, let's say by Friday before the meeting.
Okay.
The meeting's on Tuesday, and
So
you can
that's
get it to the village office by,
May.
well, and the thing is that probably the simplest thing would be to scan it and email it.
Yeah, instead of doing everything old school, yes, again,
If you have one of these,
yeah,
that's my go-to and
No,
you can
yeah.
do a little
yeah,
tweaking.
exactly. It was just a timing factor.
Yeah.
All right, so you basically need the drawing with all elevations.
Yeah.
And that's. They would have done it.
Because otherwise we have everything
May-
else here.
This is Friday, May 3rd. When is Memorial Day this year? What date is Memorial Day this year?
27, something.
Okay, so it's the Monday before.
Yeah, the 27th
So
is.
it'd be the 31st, May 31st is the Friday.
Okay.
Right.
So it's that Monday, following Monday
Previous.
meeting.
Yeah.
The
Monday.
meeting is The fourth,
June
so if
4th.
you get it to us by the 31st.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, it'll be, the Monday will have Memorial Day, we'll have tax.
Yeah.
And they need it by the end of that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing the 3D
shed-
render.
the shed,
3D
um,
render.
If I can do it with later.
Sheds after.
Yeah, it's gonna be every boy's dream. He actually has it.
Malcolm will help you, Marcy.
You made it. You made it.
You can represent us here.
Two boxes on the court.
Yeah.
Right. I have two of these. That's the only thing.
I'm good. I have.
26 names. One. You have one, 26 names. 26.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh, the brass monkey.
Happy Memorial.
I'm Gina.
Hi, Gina.
This is my husband, Brian.
Thanks for your patience. It was a long 2 hours for you guys.
So we are really excited. We're opening a retail store on 26 Main Street, going in where the dance studio was. And so we're looking to put a new sign. This drawing was drawn up by Sign Bank, who supposedly did the dance studio sign. We actually didn't just get this, and we went back out there and measured it. Where the old sign was, I think in our application, we put that it would be a 4x3, but when we actually did the measurements to cover, because there's some damage and everything from the old sign, we'd like to make it 5.5 by 3.5. Because you can see like all
The holes in
the holes in the brick.
In the brick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That's unfortunate.
this would kind of come over it. We also wanted to point out like the door has been painted black. And I do want to make the monkey a little smaller and move up. Just a little tweak. But pretty much that's,
The sign will be on white, it matches the facade of the building, so
All the
trim work
trim.
is all white on the building, and of course the door is black, so there'll be black and white sign on a black and white building with brick. Very classic.
and it's aluminum, and then the sign it's painted white. It's
Yes,
raised
yes.
acrylic. Yeah.
The aluminum would
painted
have
white.
would be
Um,
powder coated white.
So what are the dimensions that you're looking at?
5.5 by 3.5 feet. And then-
Because that's what that, well, and the height of it is about almost 4 foot.
Mm.
Yeah, right. So he had 4x3. Again, we just gotten this, and when we went back out and measured it to cover those old bolts and the damage on the building, we would prefer to do it at 5.5 by 3.5. Sorry, this is probably, you've said this like 3 different ways, but this image is showing it how wide? 4. Okay.
No,
I'm not
there's
quite
gotta be
sure
more than
everything.
4.
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
think that this
I
is
counted-
quite at.
I count, if you count the bricks, there's like 12 bricks, which would be about 4 foot.
It's not to scale. The rendering is not to scale, unfortunately. It's a little smaller, I think, actually, in real life than what you're seeing here.
So maybe because I'm the wider it gets and the less brick
Yeah.
surrounding it, it might proportionally feel
How,
heavy.
yeah, how is it gonna be attached?
It'll be bolted into the existing bricks, like the original sign was, but you won't see the bolt, so it's attached from behind.
Right, so then is this,
Brick and put it just through the mortar
And it-
joints and stuff? Do we do that here? Well,
what?
I mean, I don't know how the old sign was, all those old holes, obviously
They're
they
all like
weren't.
plastic,
It
like
definitely,
anchor bolts into the
yeah, it definitely went into the brick because they puttied the brick up.
They had all the
to try to
little
repair
black,
it.
the little blue plastic things were all in there, and they had to pull them all out and put them
Wow.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess the question is this now, it's 1 inch thick.
Mhm.
So this is going to be mounted, is it gonna be flush with the brick, or is it gonna be standing off.
It'll come out 1 inch off the brick.
Yeah, it'll be mounted flush against the brick,
Yeah.
they'll protrude 1 inch off the brick.
Yeah,
The side would
That's
then
what he
be
said.
also powder coated white.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you're just seeing the aluminum wrap.
Correct.
what's the finish? In other words, so the aluminum panel is gonna be what, white?
White, powder coated white.
So it's gonna be powder coated with acrylic,
And then the letter- right.
you know, graphics and lettering.
Right.
I still don't. I just have a hard time visualizing what is the attachment method? Is it gonna have like slots and you put it on the slot and?
I assume so. I mean, I'm not sure how they will, I'm sort of anchor bolted into the building and then hung on top of the. But you won't be able to see the mechanism for which it's hanging.
Okay, I guess I have some doubts as to how this is going to be attached to the brick. And certainly one of the things that we do, in fact, you know, are concerned about is any damage to the brick. But certainly, I guess, what we do have to do is we do have to process the sign application. But I think that, what I would like to do is if you guys can, send to us the, sort of a description or, you know, a little sketch of how it's going to be attached to the
Mounting
wall.
hardware, sure.
I think what we would prefer is it doesn't go through potentially historic brick, but it would go through a
This
mortar
building was
joint.
built in 2004.
Okay, then we don't, I mean, we still want to keep the,
That was the, 2004 was the renovation. That's when the dance studio went in. But the building dates back to, it used to be the village garage. And they did an extensive renovation. And this is on the facade facing Main Street.
A catty corner from the Argentinian cafe.
I think this is historic brick because I see the brick coursing. There's yeah, I see a header course. So I guess to me, let's first talk about the sign. Anybody have any problem with the fact that it's an aluminum sign?
No, I mean, the scale, it feels big.
Just to let you know, we have no say over the graphics or anything. But with just the construction of the sign, that's the only thing that we can vote on.
I don't have any real issues with the construction of this sign. I feel like it feels kind of large. But if this is not scaled, or not to scale, or if it is to scale and it's the smaller version and you're saying it's gonna be bigger.
No,
This is big.
this is probably bigger, and again, it is covering up the damage that's very visible, actually.
Would it be possible to get some more, like a few more photo, like maybe blue tape out the sign? And then just even to take a few steps back and kind of zoom out, so it's you
Yeah,
kind of
I
get the
agree.
scale
I
of
mean,
the
it
environment
seems
a little.
very stark right there, you know, like that. But
Yeah, and it probably is just the way that it's reading in the photo, but
Blue tape is a great idea because I really want an elevation, and then
Yeah.
in lieu of a drawing that's an elevation, blue tape would do that if you can get a head-on photo with tape
Yeah.
that's dimensioned. Sure.
and just sort of also maybe a close-up like this, but also zoomed out so we can see the whole building and see how it relates to everything around there. think that would be really helpful.
The dance studio had wrought iron lettering.
Yeah, they
And so
moved them.
They moved them to the new building, but they put so many holes into that brick. I mean, because they mounted, every letter had 3 different points of contact. So hopefully this has less than 2 or 3.
Yeah, I wonder, could you even use some of those points?
It's possible.
They're probably not gonna be on
They're kind of.
I mean, yeah, the question I have is that aluminum's a very light material, even though this is kind of, and if it's just push on and drop onto a hook,
the wind.
yeah, it can come off just as easily. And so I have to wonder whether or not, that's the way that they're planning on installing it.
Versus face mounted, like in each corner or something.
Right, I mean,
Screw. Fastened from above and below on that end. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that detail.
Right. So, I guess, do I have a motion concerning the sign itself?
Sorry, that one other thing. I'm seeing that there's 1/2" raised acrylic, and that would be on the aluminum. Is that unusual for what we've seen before? And are we comfortable with that?
Well, 1/2" is kind of thick for acrylic.
I mean, this small, any color you want line right here, but it's currently yellow. That would also be acrylic, which would seem hard to.
Well, I mean, typically acrylic is fairly thin.
I could go 1/4 inch on that. I don't think there's need to go 1/2 inch. In fact, I think it would be better than 1/4 inch, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
1/2 inch is pretty thick.
Yeah.
I think a 1/4 inch would be much classier.
All right, so maybe we can't vote on it. Seems like we've got some questions here.
Don? Any thoughts?
Sorry, you guys keep freezing, and I don't know if it's me or you, but yeah, I think that in all likelihood, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think in all likelihood, the more secure way of putting the sign on the building would be pin mounts in the corners, like Todd mentioned, which I would have no opposition to just reduce the number of holes. Because I think if you are gonna do some sort of like French cleat or something, you're gonna end up that mounting hardware is then going to be flush to the brick, which is what we're trying to avoid. So if it could be pin mounted in the corners with space in between to hold it off of the surface for water to be able to go, freely go behind it and run down the wall, it'll just be better for the brick. And I think that with the
Sorry, Sean, you seized up there.
Whether or not that stays intact.
Right, anybody else?
Our design guidelines.
You cut out the last 30 seconds or so.
Pin mounted with a spacer so water can get behind, and then we lost you.
I'm sure I said something very profound, but
given
make sure you make a note of that. Profound comments by Sean. I think that I don't think anybody has any particular objection to a 1-inch thick aluminum panel, but I guess even the panel, a 1/2 inch thick acrylic is not typical. I mean, a lot of times you see in the signs that are pressed onto glass that's acrylic, and that's usually like a 1/16 of an inch or something like that. And so if it's a 1/2 inch thick, then you run into the issue of it delaminating at some point in the future. I mean, it's a pretty thick layer, so.
Is that what they suggested?
That's what they suggested.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think they wanted it to
Yeah,
really stand out, but
I think what you ought to do is ask them to see a sample of what they're proposing.
Okay.
And that, and also how they're planning on attaching it to the building. I think that how they're attaching it to the building is probably the thing that we're most interested in.
Okay.
I think Sean's right, though, given the concerns you raised about trying to secure it flush against the building with hidden something behind there, the wind could take it off. I feel like the point Sean brought up about each corner and having it offset the building by.
There are a lot of different ways it can be mounted, and so, you know, realistically, that's their job. We just have to make sure that it minimizes the impact on the building. So.
Yeah, no more big holes.
Okay. So what are next steps? We're going to show you blue tape dimensions, zoomed out, mounting deep, get more on mounting details, and figure out exactly the raise on the acrylic.
Perfect.
Okay. We are looking to open in June. So do we come back to bring you the updated, right, at the next meeting, or how does this work?
Well, if the other board members don't mind me making all the decisions for the board, because this is a sign application, and so therefore it is special. What we can do is maybe have a Zoom meeting where just for this. I mean, is that okay, or does it have to be a public meeting?
It would have to be a public meeting. If you're meeting as a board, then it has to be public.
Okay.
What if we were to just say these three concerns, if they resubmit to meet these three concerns and the board agrees that you can review and approve? That's sort of, we're approving it now provisionally.
Trust them.
Or we could vote on it on email or something? Can we not?
No.
Oh, okay, then.
It's gotta be a public. All right, do you think you'd be able to gather this information in a week?
Yes. I move quick.
Okay.
the sign guy doesn't.
I'll be in his office.
Okay, you're talking about doing another meeting?
No, I think we're.
Well, I think, you know, what Karen's saying is that it needs to be a public, you know, a live meeting as opposed to a Zoom meeting. But it'll be very quick because this would be the only topic. What's next week look
Next
like?
week actually is zoning board on the 14th. So they're gonna be in this room.
They're gonna be in
And
here,
there's
but
a public hearing.
but how about
Public hearing.
the small room? Is there any reason
Well,
why?
that can't be recorded in there, and so I can't be in two meetings at the same time.
You can't?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Could we steal the 15 minutes before that meeting, something like
Yeah.
That
that?
would be really, really difficult. Their meeting starts at 7, whereas yours normally meets at 7:30, so there's a little more. The only,
But if we take the minutes, because we're talking about one application, a signage application. Let's do it that way. Next week.
I'm not sure that you can do it that way, but let me.
What's the issue that we're trying to deal with? Why could we not schedule a meeting next week? And as long as we get 3 people here, we can.
Because because it has to be a public meeting.
Well,
Would it be recorded?
Well, it has to be recorded.
It has to be open to the public, so if
Right,
you're
well-
gonna use that, I mean, to me, it's just not feasible, nor is it realistic to try and have 2 meetings going on at the same time.
Okay,
If you wanna.
What's next week? I mean,
Okay, so the Tuesday after that,
well, how about the rest of the week?
okay, so the 9th is planning board, 23rd is planning board. So, I mean, if you wanted to, but we'd have to notice the special meeting and all of that, if you wanted to do it maybe on the 21st, that would still get you in before.
In 2 weeks on a Tuesday.
So it'll be 2 weeks from today. Let me just make sure there's nothing.
Okay, next week, we're talking about the 14th, right? Okay, how about Wednesday? What's on Wednesday?
Wednesday is Board of Trustees.
Board of Trustees. Okay, how about 16th?
16th is a Thursday. I mean, it's doable, but it's adding another meeting to my already busy month. But if you want to do that,
I mean, I don't know how to do any of this stuff, but
Yeah.
we can take minutes for.
it's not just that. It's that you have to. It has to be open to the public. And
No, I know, I'm just meaning
But
you, so you didn't have to come in.
Yeah.
If there was.
Well, it's not, yeah, I mean, really, somebody should be here. But if you wanted to try for the 16th, there are no other meetings that I know of.
For like
Okay.
half an hour.
Because
Are you
the only sort of public notice requirement is that we need to publish the fact that we're having a meeting
That you're having a meeting
for this application.
for this application.
For the 16th, we'll do it 7:30. And
Okay,
we should be able to take minutes.
Oh,
And, we can, forward that to you and it'll just be another set of minutes or,
Well, as you say, it will be a short meeting, because
Yeah.
it's only this.
only this.
and reviewing approving the rest of the minutes that we're not doing tonight, because it's 10 o'clock.
What?
So, yeah, that's.
I'm missing so many minutes anymore. Like,
All right.
okay, look, if you want to hold a special meeting for this application only.
Right.
Then you have to make a motion to do it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to have a meeting next Thursday to review this application.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Sean is gone, so he must have frozen.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you guys sat through this whole thing, so thank you. Wow.
Wait, what we just bring that, or you want it in advance?
Well, as soon as you have it, you can send it to us, then, we can start looking at it and so that if we have any questions, we can get through this as quickly as possible.
Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. Do we have any public comments? No, okay. Approval of minutes. Do we want to do one set of minutes? Because we do have, we have 1 minute left before 10 o'clock.
I mean, I would rather spend another 25 minutes next week, Thursday night, personally. I would like.
You turn into
I turn into a grumpy goblin. And I have a dog waiting for me, and it's been a long day, and I'm exhausted, and I'm up at 6 a.m., which you probably are too, but.
Okay, So,
I'm 5:30.
Oh, okay, yeah, you
I
went.
will.
Okay, so
all right,
the only thing that I'm not,
Is it till 8?
That's late.
okay.
the
So-
only thing I wasn't sure about on the agenda, because I don't know. I have to go back and look at the minutes, but did the board approve the window dimension form? Is that a done, or
Oh,
did you need
well,
to
okay.
vote on that and approve it?
I thought did we vote on it last time?
I was
But you
making,
had,
I don't
you
think
had,
so.
I was making changes,
Oh,
and
okay.
I submitted them by email, and
Yeah.
then I went to one of the chamber breakfasts and spoke to, an architect and a graphic designer, and basically said, will you look at these with fresh eyes? And they gave me some feedback by email, which I can forward to the board if we should have it as public comment. I do think I should pick those changes up. and
okay,
show them to
we
you.
don't need any public comment, because we have the power to create our own forms, and that's what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
creating our own form. So, I guess if you update it
Yep.
and distribute it, and then we can, on next Thursday, we can vote
Yeah.
to adopt it as an official
You
instrument.
really should. Do it.
So that we can
that
start
way.
using it, yeah.
Did,
That would be,
did Jeff get all of the documents concerning the barn?
did you send them to him?
I sent them to him about a week and a half ago.
Oh, okay, then he has. Did you copy me on it or just Jeff?
No, because it was I had to do it in the Dropbox.
Oh.
And last time I spoke with Jeff, he said, I just checked your email and I don't have it. And I said, oh, well, it was from an HNTV transfer. Oh, I just checked your name, so he was gonna check to see if.
Okay.
Because
I'll ask him just to.
all right, yeah, ask him, because if not, then I'll go ahead and do it again. All right, so next Thursday, 7:30. And the signage and the minutes.
And for the minutes, I think I read the first one, but I haven't read the recent one, so I don't know if we normally try to just do that in advance and make our own notes to bring them in, but I imagine that would help expedite, so maybe I'll plan
That
on
would be
doing
very
it.
responsible of you. I will admit that I have never done that before.
I can do faster, so then,
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we have, yeah, I'm gonna carry this whole stack with it. Okay.
all right. Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
Yes. I would like to.
Guys, have a second.
Second, third, fourth, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Karen.
So Ron's.
So Karen, are you joining us?
Hold on, wait a minute before you. Here's the end meeting. Oh, here it is.